Welcome back to another Kentucky Derby profile here on Racing Rundown. I'm Eric DeCoster. In this edition, we'll be taking a look at Barbaro, one of the more intriguing horses in this year's Kentucky Derby in terms of a potential chance to hit the board. A lot of people throwing him around there, kind of the wise guy horse, one of the wise guy horses, as there's usually multiple in the Kentucky Derby this year. A very nice colt. He's been consistent. He is been tested. He has ran a lot of races. He has good experience. A lot of things to like about this horse. Also things to not like, and we'll dive into that, of course, throughout this preview. Barber Road. We're watching his maiden score right here. This is his second career start. I'll give you a quick lowdown on what he's done throughout his career. 8 starts, 2 career wins across a lot of different distances. Ran on dirt in every single start. You'll see he danced all 4 dances on the Oaklawn Road to the Kentucky Derby this year. He's a very hardy, well-built horse, clearly. And you see him right now on the lead. This is a maiden claimer, $30,000 tag here, so clearly not the level of a open maiden that so many of these nice horses won. On debut, it was at Colonial Downs, August 3rd, 5 furlongs, straight maiden. Just didn't show much. Showed very little. Showed his inexperience. No real reason for me to show it because, like a lot of horses, they need their first run. But here, start number 2 gets to stretch out to a mile and a 16th from that 5 furlongs. Set the pace, which you'll see how weird that becomes over time. We'll kind of see an evolution of some kind from Barber Road over the few races we watch of his. But sets the pace here, gets away with pretty slow fractions. If you can't win going a half in 49 and just under 4/5 and then 3/4 in 144 and 2, or 114 and 2, excuse me, you have no business winning a horse race. And good to see him win here, driven out well. But obviously, maiden claiming company didn't meet much. But you have to like the way he won. I'm going to skip over his next 2 races. I'll give you a quick run through of what he did briefly. Went to Starter Allowance Company, one going 6.5 furlongs. That was November 10th, race 6 at Churchill Downs. If you want to go back and watch that for whatever reason, he went press, kind of set the pace. Eventually drew off one by 6.25 lengths. Then took the jump to Stakes Company. Ran in the Lively Shively Stakes at Churchill Downs, November 27th, race 9. He's had a good stalking trip, finished second, beaten by a nice sprinter in Tejano Twist. Now we're on to this race, his 3-year-old debut. It's the Smarty Jones Stakes, the first of 4 Kentucky Derby preps at Oaklawn Park, all of which Barbaro did compete in. And as I said, and as you saw from him breaking his maiden and then winning that starter allowance, he was on the lead and really being up there, grinding it out in the pace. The next start, he had a pressing trip, a true pressing trip, didn't go to the lead or anything. And now we see him in a whole new dimension. He is well off the pace. Mainly, I'd consider this more tracking than stalking, and he's about 6 lengths from it in 5th place, and he's moving well. It's not like you would have thought he would have shown more speed is really the point I'm trying to make. And he's clearly comfortable here now. He's being asked to move along by Raylu Gutierrez, and he's responding to that. He's going between horses, which you really like. That's a big positive sign and a recurring theme you'll see from Barber Road throughout his next few races. But you can tell he's comfortable between horses, and that's a big positive when he has to face a 20-horse field in this year's Kentucky Derby. Now is where things get a little dicey. He's behind horses. Right now, seems like he has a seam, but with Kavad in front of him, that 4-horse in front of him, not really wanting to press through. And then on the outside, your eventual winner, Dash Attack, has swept up. Although that one lost a bit more ground, he had more of a clear run through, and that's eventually what's going to put him into the winner's circle here. But you got to like how Barber Road finishes up, getting up for a second in the dying strides, and then a very strong gallop out. I mean, you could kind of tell from this performance he's going to have this recurring theme of running strongly on the Kentucky Derby Trail. I mean, there he is, the 10-horse running out of the picture. He's galloping out so strongly, but a promising run nonetheless as he takes the big jump up to Stakes Company and clearly had some ability at it. Then moved on to the Southwest. This was 28 days later, so 4 weeks in total, late January, facing a very similar field to the one he faced, as you'll tell, a lot of familiar faces. And right here, it's not like it was a poor break, but the speed really collapsed on him, and he was forced to take back. And I think kind of what happened here is Ricardo Santana Jr., who was aboard for the first time in this race, and the only time in his career, replacing Raylu Gutierrez for this one start, all of a sudden was like, wait, I'm second to last right now. That's not really where I expected to be. You see them going pretty quick. Kavad is on the lead. We're going to see that in the next few races as well. You have a new face and Newgrange back in third pressing, but really Barber Road, our focus here, is second to last, and he's probably 12 lengths from the lead at this point. And Ricardo Santana Jr. is not exactly asking him to get closer, but he's farther back than one would have expected. That's the progression I was talking about. He went from being a horse that was on the lead or very close to it in his 2 career wins, to being a presser in a sprint race and then being a mid-pack horse in the Smarty Jones, and now he's a deep closer here in the Southwest. And he's moving up. He's very wide on the track right now. As you can see, the half went up in 47 and 1, and I think the speed horses here and the stalkers were really an advantage here because although that opening quarter was pretty quick in 23 flat, they really slowed it down at every single call beyond that. So that's not going to play well in terms of a horse like Barbaro coming from well off the pace and winning. What you do like, he is passing Dash Attack at this point. Dash Attack, of course, beat him in the Smarty Jones before this. And right now, you think he has a pretty good fighting chance of getting the job done. But as I mentioned, this race was really well set up for the stalkers more than anybody. And of course, Kavad hanging in there on the front end after setting the pace, slowing it down enough. And Newgrange, who sat the perfect stalking trip outside of rivals, powering to the wire. Barbaro chasing the entire way and unable to get the job done. But an impressive race again because he showed a brand new dimension and ability to relax. Once again, also, you'll see here, he is the champion of gallop outs. He is always rolling once the wires end. Ricardo Santana Jr. trying to pull him up, and he says, no, I want to keep running. Here is the second to last start of Barber Roads before the Kentucky Derby, the third race on this prep series at Oaklawn, the Grade 2 $1 Million Rebel. Breaks cleanly again. That's a good recurring theme. You like a horse that can break with the field at all times. It allows him to be put in the right position. Raylu Gutierrez did get back aboard for this race. He was also aboard for the Arkansas Derby and will be aboard for the Kentucky Derby here. It seemed like he wanted maybe a little closer, but it just didn't work out that way. So once again, he finds himself second to last. Once again, Kavad's on the lead. Second is Newgrange, sitting that same stalking trip he sat in that last run in the Southwest. And then some new faces are also here. Ethereal Road and Unoho, who you will become familiar with by the time we get into the stretch run. But Barber Road, second to last, again, closer than he was in the Southwest, not 12 lengths off of it. But here's where things get interesting. In that run in the Southwest, Ricardo Santana Jr. just tried to grind him all the way up from last. Raylu Gutierrez makes a middle move right here. He goes from being second to last, about 8 lengths off the lead, to being fourth or fifth or sixth right now, within close striking range. But it also didn't work to his advantage necessarily because he kind of turns himself off right here. Barber Road, I don't know if he thought he maybe ran his race right there, but Raylu Gutierrez really has to get after him right now. Meanwhile, up the rail, here comes Unoho, the 4-horse on the far outside, the blue cap, blue and white silks. That's Ethereal Road, your eventual 1-2 finishers. They've gotten first run, and they are absolutely motoring. Meanwhile, Barber Road's just kind of waiting on himself, idling just a tiny bit as they swing into the stretch. And then in the stretch, not so much greenness, but just trying to find the best route to victory is Barber Road. He drifts in a little there. And you'll see him kind of shoot between Kavad, who's tiring now, that white blinkers. Meanwhile, Ethereal Road's gotten first run. He is well clear. It's going to take a lot for Barber Road to run him down. He doesn't. Unoho surges late to get the win. But Barber Road, once again, picking up super well within the dying stages of the race, galloping out really well. And that was going a mile and a 16th. He's taken some really good distance progressions from 2 sprints to a flat mile to 2 mile and a 16th races. You had to think a mile and an eighth in the Arkansas Derby would be right up his alley. And finally, this is that Arkansas Derby capping off the 4-race series. Some new faces, all in all, Secret Oath, Doppelganger, We the People, Cyberknife, but Unoho's here, Kavad's here, Chasing Time was also in one of these prep races. So all in all, a good mix. Barber Road turns himself off, takes himself back to last. That is clearly the route to victory that they think they can find. Pretty interesting. You went off 10-1 in this spot, and you think after all those big preps he would be closer to like 5-1, 9-2. That's where I always thought he would land, and no, he always landed much higher than I thought. I don't think that'll be the case come Kentucky Derby time. Quick opening quarter there, 22.11. Kavad doing Kavad things. He always set the pace in these preps. And Barber Road's back there with a big bunch of closers. I mean, look at how bunched up they got right here, but he's content to be there. I think Raylu might have wanted to make a middle move right there, but Cyberknife in front of him didn't allow that to happen. And then the accordion. They were stretched out. Now they're as compact as can be. So once again, Barber Road went from being a pretty decent amount out of it heading into the backstretch, and now we're approaching the half-mile pole, and he's within a couple lengths. Once again, Raylu's getting after him pretty good. Cyberknife is moving up on the outside. That's your eventual winner. Some contact here coming with Unoho. He got in a bit tight. I don't think Barber Road really initiated that. I think that was more the two kind of lugging in and making it tight on Barber Road. So that wasn't his fault. But nevertheless, that was some contact with Barber Road. But he's moving on the turn. For the first time, it doesn't seem like he's kind of waiting on horses as they round the bend. And then he gets a good seam here, maybe a little tight, but all in all, he's coming along well. While Cyberknife, once again, another horse who got first run on him that he is unable to wear down. But what does he show again in the final dying stages of the race? A very mean turn of foot. But why didn't he show that, 100 yards earlier, like we thought he might have from a race like the Rebel or the Southwest? I think part of it had to do with Secret Oath getting tired, but nevertheless, another good effort hitting the board. Another massive gallop out coming out here. Nice little high five from Raylu Gutierrez to Florent Giroux. They're both going to the Kentucky Derby. They're both happy. Another good, consistent, solid run from Barber Road. So all in all, a quick recap of what Barber Road has done to this point and what we've discussed. Obviously, Raylu Gutierrez, John Ortiz, two very young rising stars in the horse racing industry, and very excited to see them both get their first chance in the Kentucky Derby. Raylu Gutierrez is actually going to be riding in both the Derby and the Oaks, so that's pretty exciting for him. Well, we'll dive into the speed figures in a second. I'm going to skip over the last three buyers to go to the pros. Let's focus on the good with Barber Road. Consistent. He has won or finished in the money in 7 of his 8 career starts, and that includes 7 in a row. And he has this great closing kick that we've seen him put on, especially in the final 16th to 8th of a mile of his races. He is always putting it down when the going gets good. He just hasn't been able to find that wire first. And he's been able to close into some slow paces. I mean, we talked about how in the Southwest, although that opening quarter was quick, everything else from there on out was pretty slow, and he was really able to pick up despite that fact. The Rebel, I thought, was even more impressive. He made that middle move. The jockey made that middle move because he could probably tell mental clock that they were going pretty slow. So that definitely was advantageous there. And just knowing that your rider, like Raylu Gutierrez, can make those decisions. Hey, I think the pace is a bit slow. Let's get going now, a bit earlier than we probably wanted to, but going to be there in contention at the end. That's a good thing, especially for a race like the Kentucky Derby. So some great positives there. But let's talk about those negatives. We'll circle back to those buyers. Those are very weak. I mean, some of the weakest in this year's Kentucky Derby field. That's an 86 right there. 86 from the Southwest, 83 from the Rebel, 88 from the Arkansas Derby. Consistent mid to somewhat high 80s. That's not going to win you a Kentucky Derby. It never has. And although I'm way more about the eye test than I am the speed figures, it is consistent across all fronts. In fact, by Brisnet speed figures and prime power rating, which I take into huge account when handicapping any race, Barber Road has the second worst prime power among horses in the Derby field right now. And the only one that's worse is Happy Jack, and that makes tons of sense because Happy Jack has ran a step, and he has really lucked into getting into the Kentucky Derby. So Barber Road, he's run all these good races, but his figures are terrible, terrible. And once again, I'm much more of an eye test guy, and he certainly has exceeded that in my eyes. But when you're consistently this low, that has to be a cause for concern. And if you are someone that puts a lot of weight into your figures, then I mean, you forget about it. Barber Road is not your horse. He's also been facing rather weak competition going into the races. I know his odds haven't been great, but every single horse that comes in, these new challengers, they're all unproven. He's not beating or facing graded stakes winners so much. They're rather weak horses. Most of them, I mean, very bad. Not very bad. Very bad is very hyperbolic, I should say. They're not Derby quality heading into whatever prep they run in. So him beating those horses isn't all that impressive to me. You know, your Ignituses, your Barber Road, your Ben Diesels, excuse me, so on and so forth. And finally, and another big sticking point is that of the 4 Arkansas Road to the Kentucky Derby preps we watched, the ones at Oaklawn, none of those horses, Cyberknife, of course, we don't know about, but he is not necessarily held in high regard for this year's Kentucky Derby. But the 3 that did come back to run all missed the board and all ran terribly. Dash Attack. Not only did he lose the Southwest and the Rebel, he also lost the Lexington very recently. Newgrange, he was a heavy favorite in the Rebel. He got thrashed in that spot. We haven't seen him since. Unoho, I know he had troubles in the Arkansas Derby, but I don't really think he was going to go on to win it. And then Ethereal Road, who finished a nose in front of Barber Road in that Rebel, has come back to lose his next 2 starts as well. Point is, it's just adding up where these horses that are beating Barber Road, even though Barber Road's putting on very strong performances himself from a visual perspective, the horses that are beating him and have very valid reasons to beat him don't come back to do well. And obviously that back class is just going to keep following you and going to put you in a rough position come Kentucky Derby time. There's no doubt that the Oaklawn Road to the Kentucky Derby has been far and away the weakest in terms of the winners of anywhere in the country this year on the road to the Kentucky Derby. So that's a concern. Listen, Barber Road's a good horse. You love the consistency. You love the close and kick, but you have to hate the figures. I mean, you have to. They're not good. I mean, those are numbers. And while the numbers might lie to you, that doesn't mean that if you take them into account in your handicapping, this has to lower him in your eyes by a considerable amount. And of course, I think the competition more so than anything, the fact he's not really beating Derby quality horses and never really has, is another thing to consider. But if he can show the talent, if he can prove that it doesn't matter that he's facing true Grade One horses for the first time, then he's going to be rolling weight. And I think if you're going to pick him, that's going to be the biggest thing you're relying on is, hey, he packs his lunch pail, goes to work, and grinds out a big race every time. He's going to hit the board, and that's just going to be your logic behind it. Great, run with it. But if you factor in those other things, like I do, the back class more than anything, it is a bit of concern. A fun horse to analyze, a lot to break down. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time here on Racing Rundown for more great Kentucky Derby content.